All right, Kay's still there. I see a few watching. Let's get started. I've got a lot of crafting to do, some new products, and I want to be crafty today. So let's get going. Here's our card. It features Stampin' Up's brand new Animal Outing. I love this stamp set. And the Stampin' Blend markers. Will you get this in color pack of paper for me? I forgot to pull it out. Let's see. So in colors, designer series paper. I'll show you that one in just a second. I'm loving this 6x6 designer series paper. And wow, that helicopter was flying low overhead. Stampin' Blend markers. The original colors are back in stock with Stampin' Up now. And we're going to use Old Olive, Cherry Cobbler, Smoky Slate, and these are both the light and the dark. And then I'm going to use a couple of the new color Stampin' Blends, and they will be available as of mid-June. So this one here is Lovely Lipstick Light, and this one is Pineapple Punch, and this is the dark one. So two in colors. There will be more new colors coming soon, but the originals, you can order those again. And so that's why we're doing this card on Facebook Live today, because that is really good news. All right, we got the Designer Series 2018-2020 in color Designer Series paper pack here. It's 6x6. It features these fun dotted papers. There's one with a in color with a white dot, white with a in color stripe, and then the other pattern is in color with a in color dot, like a lighter shade, and then the in color stripes, so it's a lighter, darker shade. So those are the two patterns in the pack, and you get 4 each of those 2 patterns in all 5 of the in colors in this pack. So I love this pack of paper. But sometimes I look at these dudes and I'm like, what am I going to do with that? And frankly, I have trouble cutting up my paper, my beautiful paper. I have to cut it to get started, right? But it's so perfect in 6x6. So what we're going to do is we're going to just start by cutting right up our Designer Series paper. I've used the Lovely Lipstick here, and I've used the Blueberry Bushel. I got a Pineapple Punch one that we're going to do on this one. I'm not sure how it's going to work with that pool party backgrounds, but I'm going to give it a try. All right, so there's our 6x6 Designer Series paper. Darlene loves my mouse. I love it too. Isn't it great? Oh, it just makes me happy. Sometimes you need to surround yourself with happy things, right? Okay, here we go. Consumables, besides the 6x6 Designer Series paper sheet, is a card base. This is Pool Party. It's kind of a nice neutral. I thought it'd be fun since I'm cutting up all the new in-color papers to go with something that's somewhat neutral. It's like the sky, right? And so this is 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. Then I've got a piece of Whisper White here, and this Whisper White is, I believe, you know what? I got the project sheet right here, so I'm not going to tell you what I believe. I'm just going to look at the project sheet. It is 3 3/4 by 5. And then I've got the square cut from the layering squares framelits dies, and that one is a 2 3/4 inch square. And then from the Stitched Shapes framelits, I've got the largest stitched square cut from Whisper White. You're also going to need your, there we go, tailored tag punch, Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I think that's right. I think that's it. We can get started here. All right, so I've got my Whisper White stitched square here, and let's stamp our little, okay, do you guys have those words that when you hear it said, you can say it right, but when you try to pull it out of your own word retrieval, it always comes out wrong? That's this for me. I have such a hard time with what this is called. I always want to call it rhinoceros, And I know that if it sounds like dinosaur, I'm saying it wrong. But when somebody else says it right, I can say it right. So we'll just say our rhino. That's what we determined at Coffee and a Card, that we would just call him a rhino. So we're going to stamp our rhino with Memento Tuxedo Black right on that Whisper White square and let the ink transfer. And then I'm going to give you a real quick blending lessons using the Stampin' Blend markers here. Kay hates to cut up her paper too. See, it's a paper crafter's thing, right? Okay, so I'm going to color this guy and show you some quick tips on how I get some like shading with the smoky slate. I lost my color lifter. We also are going to need the little color lifter here. I buried it under the Designer Series paper. So the first thing I do when I'm coloring with Stampin' Blends is I'll take the area that I want to be highlighted, like his face, the center of his face, and right down the center of his horn here, maybe up on his back where the light would be. I stay away from the areas that the artist has distinguished as shadowed. See, by her little, by the dots, the artist has distinguished that is the shadowed area. And the first thing I do is just prime the paper with the color lifter. That'll help me to preserve the light spaces. Then I'll take the lighter of the smoky slate and fill in. I'm going to do the whole dude, and I'm just going to color right over that color lifter and fill in this whole rhino. Oh gosh, I had to have Violet tell me how to say the full name for this guy before I started, and I've already forgotten. I don't know. Rhino's good, right? You guys have words like that? Where you know that you say it wrong, but when you come up with it from your word retrieval, it's just, that's all you got. Rhinocesaur. That's all I got. I know it's not rhinocesaur though. All right, so then I'm gonna go back in and just go over top and lighten up some of those highlight spots again. Alrighty. Darlene says, great tip about using the lifter first. I do it both. Sandy says, I call him Fred. Oh my goodness, Sandy, that's gonna stick. I cannot wait to tell everybody that comes around Kitchen Table Stamper that they should just stamp Fred in Memento Tuxedo Black ink. All right, so I've switched from my color lifter and light smoky slate to the dark, and I'm gonna kind of go around this guy. We're gonna go around Fred here, and we're going to use the dark one where the artist suggests there's shadows. So the artist suggests there's shadows here and here, under the horn here, do you see? And then I'll go along his jawbone here, and then all these little wrinkles and spots. And we're just gonna color in some details. All right, we're getting there. A couple more little streaks. I think we've got most of them there. And then I'm gonna go over on these really shaded areas just a little bit more before I bring in my lighter smoky slate again. All right. So you can see we're starting to get some shadows and highlights. I tend to, if left to my own devices, blend everything to a beautiful shade of medium, and I work really hard at it. So I'm trying to resist those urges here. So I'm just going to scribble in along the edge and kind of extend any of my little shadow areas. Now I'm using the lighter one. And I'm going to go along the horn here, and then where the artist has drawn in some shadow on the horn, we're going to put a little of the light one all the way up under the bird's feet where the bird might cast a little shadow. And then we're just working in little tiny scribbly circles to bring that dark smoky slate into the light smoky slate without completely coloring in the light areas that we've established before. And that's really, really hard for me. I'm not going to blend him to a shade of medium. I'm going to back off before it gets to that. All right, so we've got him, and he's still got his shadows and his highlights, but where the shadows and the highlights meet, it's still a little scratchy. So we're gonna go over with our color lifter again in circles and just kind of soften those areas where the light meets the light. See? I'm pretty satisfied with him. Now, if you left me to my own devices, I could probably keep on scribbling until he was the same shade of light, but I think I'm happy. So I'm going to go in, and where his horn has some shadows, we'll soften the edges of that too. And that will let him dry. I think he's pretty good. He's going to dry lighter. Here's my other little dude. But he definitely has some highlights and some shadows. So, all right. Hope that was informative and not like watching paint dry. Let's see here. Our little birdie. Quick dude here. We're going to start with our Light Lovely lipstick, which is our lightest shade, and just touch to color him in. We don't want to saturate him too much because we're going to bring in some cherry cobbler, and we don't want him to bleed out the lines. So we can really just touch with the Light Lovely lipstick. And again, Lovely lipstick is one of the colors that'll be available later this month. But cherry cobbler, old olive, smoky slate, all the original colors, Stampin' Blends are back in stock. Now we've got a light cherry cobbler, and we're going to swoop along his belly and then up his little tail feathers, at the base of his wings, and at the very base of the crest on his head. And don't be afraid of the dark here. We're going to go with the dark cherry cobbler in that area that the artist has designated as shadow, and at the very ends of each of those little areas, wings, feathers on his head, his little crest, and his tail. And then the last thing you're going to do is really lightly just bring that all together with the Light Lovely lipstick. So there he is. And hopefully when I bring him close, you can see that shadow and highlights. All right, last touch. He needs a little pineapple punch on his beak. There's our dude. Not bad, huh? All right, I like to make sure that my images aren't just floating in space. They're kind of grounded. And the artist has drawn in some little stippling dots, like a shadow underneath him. So we're going to take our light old olive. I've got the bullet point here. And we're just going to follow that stippling. We're just dotting all along Mr. What's his name? Fred? Hank? Rhino? Then we're going to take our dark old olive bullet point and go in and stipple a little closer to him because that's where the shadows are going to be darker. So we don't want to go quite as far as we did with the light old olive. Here and there, a little darker old olive stipple is good. And then to bring it all together and give it a little more texture, we're going to go back and stipple over the whole thing with the color lifter, which is really going to bring those two colors together and give us kind of a grounded look. And there he is. Aha! All right, so he's all colored up. Let's get him on this card. Where is my card base? Here we go. All right, card base, you can tell when you look a little closer that it's embossed with the wooden planks. So I'm going to grab my Big Shot and we'll get that embossing done. And for these three-dimensional folders, we're going to pull out one cutting plate, hold on to it, and then the bottom cutting plate and the thin die adapter, those just go up to the side. You only need one cutting plate for this guy. I've got my dynamic embossing folder here. You can see how thick that guy is. It's going to make a nice 3D impression on the card. We're going to pop the card front right up to the score line into the folder and make sure everything is squared up. So the boards run at a 90-degree angle to the fold. Slide the back of the card in there, make sure it's clear, and then bring the folder in and square up the folder to the edge of the platform so you don't do any damage to the folder. And you can put your top cutting pad over that and turn it and emboss. Now wait till you see this awesome effect. So there's our wood grain effect. Pretty cool, huh? I think I'm gonna go with the debossed side up and then this embossed side inside the card. All right, we're moving Big Shot out of the way, and let's get a bone folder. We're gonna pull the back of the card even with the front and run over the score line there, and then same with the front. Bring the front down so that's even with the back. A nice square card. Sometimes the embossing folder kind of distorts the length or the width of the card because of the extra space it takes to make those indents. So see how pretty that is? I love that embossing folder. All right, next up, I'm gonna do, let me bring my sample in here. Gonna grab some multi-purpose liquid glue at the bottom of my bucket here. And I'm gonna adhere the rhino centered on our scallop square. So just mat him, give him a little visual interest. Okay, so this square could have anything you want stamped in it, right? Little card base embossed, a white whisper white layer. Now we're gonna get to the designer series paper. So we have that 6x6 piece, and this wonder recipe, when you cut up this designer series paper according to the diagram that'll be on the blog, I'll put you a link, you're gonna get 6 cards of this design out of one piece of designer series paper. Now, I've had people ask, how do you get 6 cards out of one piece of designer series paper? It's the designer series paper pieces. You still have to add your cardstock and things, but it's a great place to jump in. Your card can be oriented this way or this way. And as you can see, I took my little banner, and this one's a mirror image of this one. This square could be a circle. Just a great way to cut up the paper. You've got the design in hand already. You've got the paper and the stamp set out, and you can just go to town making some quick cards, and that's the idea of the Wonder recipe. All right, here's where things are gonna get crazy. I have no blades for my Stampin' Trimmer, so we're gonna use my Fiskars one, but that's okay, right? I'm gonna get my paper trimmer, and we're gonna cut this paper up to make the pieces we need for 6 cards. So the first thing you're gonna do here is put your paper in and cut it in half at 3 inches. And then you can go ahead and stack those 2 halves. We're gonna cut at 2 inches and 2 inches again. We're gonna have 6 pieces of designer series paper that we can use to make 6 cards. All right, so let me get this dude out of the way. So how many of you guys use one sheet wonders when you're doing cards? Have you ever used a one sheet wonder? I'd love to know. All right, now let me get Blueberry Bushel back in there. I'm not seeing comments again. Is anybody making comments? Somebody make a comment so that I can see what's going on. Interact with me, people. Interact with me. Got to figure out how to use this new phone. It's making me crazy. I can see that people are watching, but I can't see, I don't know if I'm seeing comments or not. So if I'm not seeing your comments right now, I'm sorry. I love to interact with you guys. Oh, I saw a heart. I've seen some people join us. Hi, Margie. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Judy. But I'm not seeing comments, I don't think. Yeah, see, I see Darlene said we made Fred at our card meeting this week. And when Ann says she sees and hears me. Ah, there we go. I'm seeing the comments. Yay, thank you guys. Okay, that helps. All right, so here's the ones that we've made with the one sheet wonder. Here's the 6 more that we can make. But you're probably looking at that and going, hey, Marissa, your math's off a little bit, right? Okay, well, let me show you a little trick here. This is also a way to use every bit of your designer series paper, which is expensive, to the absolute maximum, right? So what we're gonna do before we go any further is grab our Taylor Tag Punch. I told you we're gonna do that. Hey, Brenda, I'm so glad to see you. Did you get your catalog? And how do you like it? Hi, Barbara. Late's okay. There's going to be a replay. Just catch on right now. All right, so a little bit about me and the way I think. We know a lot about Marisa today because we know that I can't come up with what this guy's really called. So we call him a Rhino or Fred. And we're also going to know a little bit more about how Marisa does the math, okay? So this Tailor Tag Punch is $18, and it makes the greatest little punch shape. I love it. It's fantastic. But you want to see what else it does? It makes awesome dovetails. So I'm going to take this Designer Series paper that is 2 by 3, and I'm going to pop it into my Tailor Tag Punch and make sure that I have even distance left on this side and on this side. And once it's even, and you can really just eyeball it, you give it a punch, and look at that perfect dovetail every time. So now this $18 tool, because it does tags and dovetails, cost me only $9 per tool. Isn't that amazing? All right. So maybe a little bit too much about my math skills there. Or is that my stamping justification? I don't know. So here's my dovetail piece. And now you're probably thinking, Marisa, it's even shorter. What are you going to do? Well, it's very simple. I'm going to grab my paper snips. I'm going to cut about an inch off of the side. And we're going to extend our banner to get the most out of our Designer Series paper. See that? So when we adhere that to the Whisper White panel, making sure everything's even, and we add Fred, we just got 6 cards with a great banner of Designer Series paper out of one sheet of 6x6. So I hope that inspires you to get started, to jump in somewhere, and to make the most of your Designer Series paper. All right, let's put this dude together, shall we? Brenda says, not yet for the catalog, waiting on the mailman. Ooh, that's a tough wait, Brenda. Wait till you see it. It's fantastic. Barbara says, so smart. Well, thank you, Barbara. I have to say, I've been doing this for a lot of years, and whenever you can conserve that Designer Series paper, that makes me so happy. I guess it's kind of like when one tool has 2 uses, then it costs half as much. I don't know. It's the new math. It's the new paper crafting math, I guess. So 6 cards out of one Designer Series sheet of paper, though, is pretty brilliant, I think. And now, what you've got to do here is just make sure grid paper comes in really handy here, but you want to make sure that your both ends are about equal from the top here. All right, now my dude needs to go on with some dimensionals. We don't have any dimension on this card yet, so let me get some Stampin' Dimensionals here. I got some minis. Brenda says, very slick trick. I like that. Good. I hope so. It's the little things, right? It's a simple card. This will be my thank you card for anybody who places an order with me in the month of May. So I needed one that would be really, really cute, affordable, and it's affordable when you can get 6 cards out of one 6x6 sheet, and fast to make, but still has a lot of punch. And I think that this one does. So the new colors, we've got Berry Bushel, Blueberry Bushel, Pineapple Punch, Lovely Lipstick, and then here is some Call Me Clover and Grapefruit Grove. I've got one right here. I want to know, while I finish putting this card together, which one of the in colors is your favorite in color? All right, let's get this guy on here. We want to make sure we cover that seam and keep him nice and straight. Okay. I've got the sentiment, thank you big time, and that comes from the Animal Outing set, same as Fred. We're going to go ahead and stamp that guy, that sentiment right in there. You know what, let me, so I get the best impression, pull him off of that wood grain. Sandy likes the blueberry, and Barbara likes the grapefruit. Kay likes blueberry. I'm having a hard time with it. My favorite shifts. right now, I think I'm really loving the pineapple punch. The reason for that, though, is because I'm starting to find some colors that it plays really nicely with. I love the pineapple punch with Fleur de Flamingo and Granny Apple Green. It really is a nice combination. It seems to bring pineapple punch down to more of a bright than a neon. Darlene likes lipstick for now. And Rhonda likes the lovely lipstick too. Yeah, see? They're all good though, aren't they? All right, let's adhere this dude. I'm going to show you a quick example of my pineapple punch, Granny Apple Green, and Fleur de Flamingo sample. All right, so let me get a bow for this guy. He needs a bow like the other ones. I don't know how to arrange them so you can best see them. Here's my pineapple punch ribbon. I'm going to tie a quick bow. Hard to pick only one. I agree with you. They're such a nice coordinated set of in colors. You know, sometimes we get in colors that are just all great colors, but they need the rest of the color palette to be explained. You know what I mean? They're not self-contained. This year's in colors are very good self-contained palette. Got a little bit of everything and they all are the same intensity and work well together. I keep making Fred's bow too big, so we're working on a teeny tiny little bow here. All right, there we go. And we'll trim it down. Love it. Need a glue dot. Here's a mini glue dot. Hey, Jen, how are you? I'm glad you're here. How do you like the new catalog? What's your favorite? We just asked about favorite in color. What's your favorite new in color from the 2018-2020 in colors? All right, that's a little long. It looks like he's going to trip over it. Poor Fred. We're really gussying Fred up today. There we go. Maybe. Ooh, now we're giving Barbie a haircut. Lynn missed most of the video. Don't worry, Lynn. As soon as I'm done, I'll put it back on for replay. And I will have it archived on the blog with the project sheet. Project sheet is almost done for this card too. All right, so there's our little thank you big time rhinoceros rhino card. Rhinos, you know what I'm talking about. This is Fred, everybody. Here's the other two in colors for visual. And hang on, I'm going to grab another card to show you that color combination I love. This is one of the cards that we did for our team meeting, the Kitchenettes team meeting this month. I love my kitchenettes. And this was one of the projects that we did for the team meeting make and takes. So this is that combination, the Granny Apple Green, the Fleur de Flamingo, and Pineapple Punch. Which ribbon is that in the catalog? Okay, the ribbon that I used is the 1/8 inch grosgrain, the in color grosgrain, 1/8 inch. Here's my Stampin' Chamois. I love this. You can see probably since my last video, I don't think I did it in the last video. I cut mine in half, works great for classes. All right, you guys, last bit of housekeeping as I'm remembering here. I'm doing the paper share and the ribbon share. I'll pop those details onto the sampler page on kitchentablestamper.com. Just click the sampler button at the top menu bar and there will be details of that. But if you'd like to have some of every designer series paper, 300 6x6 sheets, and some of every new ribbon, 1 or 2 yards of every ribbon, you can pick up a kitchen table stamper product sampler. And paper, 300 6x6 sheets, includes at least 1 6x sheet of every new designer series paper, and in some cases up to 4 6x6 sheets because we're going to quarter the packages. That is 300 sheets, $87. If you need it shipped, it's going to be medium flat rate box priority in addition to. And the ribbon sampler is $47, and it's 51 yards of ribbon. So if anybody's interested, I've already filled up the first round. There's one ribbon sampler left, but I will do a second round of the samplers if there's enough interest. And then kitchenettes, you receive free glitter enamels, the enamel shapes, and free rose thread if you buy both samplers. So you get some extras if you're a kitchenette. All right, you guys, I'm going to go off and grab a little lunch and do a little Stampin'. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining me. Look out on the blog for the project sheet. It's pretty well done, and so is the Wonder Recipe number 6 cutting diagram. Those I'll post ASAP. All right, guys, Marissa at Kitchen Table Stamper. If you got any questions. Barbara says, love your cards. Thank you, Barbara. Elizabeth says, hi. Hi, Elizabeth. You got to catch me on the replay. We're wrapping up. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for dropping in.